Hi everyone. I'll read, I think, chapters 11 and 12 today. Chapter 11, The Day Our Life Fell Apart. So this, I'm assuming, is going to be a chapter about when her brother died. Mrs. Johnson gives me back my group project. It says, well researched and very interesting and excellent. But at the bottom she also writes, why are there capital letters in the middle of your sentences? Common nouns are not capitalized. Only special words are capitalized. I looked at my paragraph. I did not put capital letters in the middle of the sentences. They are only at the beginning of some words. She has put an X over the H in heart and written a lowercase h. It doesn't look right that way. I'm sure she's wrong about the special words and capital letters, even though she's a teacher. How can any word be more special than heart? At home I think about Devon's heart. I sit on the sofa and look at his chest. It's still under the gray sheet. There are rays of light coming in through the blinds, and the dust swirls around in the beams and hits the chest, and I wonder if any of the dust particles are Devon, and if I can feel him. I close my eyes and remember some of the things that happened on the day our life fell apart. That's what Dad calls it. After we came home from the hospital that night, with no Devon, Dad was yelling and kicking the furniture and the walls, and he started pounding the chest with his fists, shouting, "Why? Why? Why?" And he threw the woodworking books and the scout manual into Devon's room and slammed the door and said, "No, no, no, no," until I screamed at him to stop it, stop it, stop it, and then he put the sheet over the chest, and now he never even looks in that corner. I press myself against the sofa and squish my eyes tight, and even though I try not to, I remember being at the hospital and how there were sharp lights and siren noises and loudspeaker noises and beeping noises and medicine smells, and finally people dressed in green pajamas and purple slippers said to Dad, "We tried, but we couldn't close your son's chest. His heart, there was nothing left. There was nothing we could do. Nothing we could do." I'm shaking and sucking my sleeve, and I try to stop thinking about the day our life fell apart. But when I open my eyes, Devon's chest is staring at me, so I slide off of the sofa and crawl over to it and pull the sheet up from the bottom and push underneath it and get inside the empty, hollow chest, and I imagine myself as the heart, Devon's heart. My arms and atria are atria and my legs are ventricles, and I pump all the blood around the right way because there has to be something I can do, something I can do. First, I pump the blood to the lungs to pick up the oxygen, and then to the left atrium and the ventricle, and then to the aorta to go all around his body like it should. All my valves are working so the blood flow is right, and I can feel the beat, and I rock with it because rocking makes me feel alive, and I want his chest to be alive. I pump the blood around Devon's body. Devon, Devon, Devon. I say it louder and louder to make it true, and my whole body is beating for his louder and louder and wilder, and my head is banging the sides of the chest, but I don't care. Devon, Devon, Devon. And I hear Dad's voice screaming like at the hospital, and I don't want to hear it because I don't want any part of the day our life fell apart to happen again, so I focus and become the heart, louder and louder and harder, but then I fall out of the chest because there's no way to close it, and I feel Dad grabbing me, but all I can do is scream the words from the green hospital people. I tried, but there was nothing I could do. "Caitlin! Caitlin!" I hear Dad yelling, but I can't stop crying. I feel him wrap me in my blanket and put me back on the sofa, and I feel his arm around me as he sits next to me in the dark. The ringing in my ears finally stops, but then the phone rings. I feel Dad get up and watch him disappear into the kitchen. He comes running back into the living room and turns on the TV and stands there looking at it. He breathes heavily. The man on the Fox 5 News has a microphone in his hand and is talking in front of a brick building. I'm at the courthouse where the remaining killer from the Virginia Dare Middle School shooting has just had his preliminary hearing. The hearing found that there's enough evidence against him to be put on trial for the murders of teacher Robert Schneider and the young students Julianne Morris and Devin Smith. That horrific shooting was a devastating blow to this small community. Oh, there he is! The picture jumps around wildly until it's on a boy in an orange suit with police all around him. He doesn't look much older than Devin. Mr. Fox 5 News shouts as he pushes his microphone past a crowd of people. "What do you have to say for yourself?" The boy in the orange stares into the camera and grins a half smile. Then he lifts his handcuffed hands and gives a thumbs up sign. Dad goes to the bathroom and throws up. The camera switches to a lady sitting inside at the news desk. She says, "We'll hear more about this story later, but isn't it good that we now have closure?" I suck my sleeve. I don't think there is anything good about any of it, and I wonder how closure can help, and what it is. When Dad comes back to the living room and turns off the TV, I ask him, "What is closure?" He says he has to call a neighbor, but when Mrs. Robbins comes over, he forgets to ask her what closure means. He just says she's going to take care of me because he has a headache and needs to take a shower. I wonder if it is one of the crying showers. I close my eyes. I can see the light come through my eyelids, and I hear a creaking sound, and then Mrs. Robbins' shaky voice. "Can I get you something, Caitlin? Hot chocolate? Warm milk?" "My dictionary." "Dictionary?" "Yes." "Oh, I was thinking of please." More creaking. "Okay, dear." I look up closure and it says, "The state of experiencing an emotional conclusion to a difficult life event, such as the death of a loved one." I do not know how to get to the state of experiencing an emotional conclusion, so I asked Mrs. Robbins, "How do I get to the state of experiencing an emotional conclusion to a difficult life event?" Her mouth opens and closes 3 times and makes a squeaky noise. "Excuse me," she says and runs into the kitchen, but I can hear her blowing her nose, and now I can hear Dad crying in the shower, so I put my purple fleece over my head and close my eyes and plug my ears, and with my elbows I squeeze my dictionary tight against my chest. I think I'll try for another chapter quickly. Chapter 12, Closure. I wait all morning for my Mrs. Brooks time. I walk to her room because of no running in the halls. I push the door open without even knocking and ask, "How do I get to the state of experiencing an emotional conclusion to a difficult life event?" She stands up from the round table. "What do you mean?" "Closure," I say. "I'm talking about closure. How do I find it?" "Sit down, Caitlin. Are you talking about the news, the boy from the shooting?" I nod about 100 times because she's a little slow getting it today. This is very stressful for our entire community. We're all looking for closure." I look at the person, but she's not answering my question. "Come, sit down." I'm still standing. "Okay," says Mrs. Brooke. "I'll sit." She puts her hands in front of her on the table and clasps them together. She takes a deep breath and lets it out. Slowly, she closes her eyes. Is she praying? "This isn't church," I remind her. "I know. I'm thinking." She scratches the part of her hair and then puts her hands together again. "Sometimes the process of a funeral and burial and doing things like putting wreaths on grave sites help give closure. Devin was cremated, so that will not work for me." "Some people go to church." "It's not Sunday," I point out. I mean, on Sundays, do you and your father go to church? I shrug. We used to go to one with the Boy Scouts, but not anymore. Now we just drive past it. A church might be helpful, or seeing a counselor. I look at the person. You're a counselor, I see you. I know, but your dad might like to go see a counselor too. Can he come see you about closure? Sometimes we can do that, but I'm really here to help the students. But talking can help both of you a lot, she says. Talking about your feelings. That will not work for me. I don't like let's talk about it. Now, Caitlin, is there anything else? Well, if nothing else, Mrs. Brooks says, time helps. But I didn't ask if there was nothing else. I asked if there was anything else. I start shaking my hands because the world is spinning, and if I shake my hands faster than the rest of the world, then the world's spinning doesn't seem so fast. Devin says it makes no sense, but it makes sense to me. It's something you have to find for yourself because everyone is different. We all have to find our own special way. I thought I was the one who was special and everyone else was normal. I almost asked her what normal people do, but I suppose that would not work for me anyway. That doesn't help. She touches my shaking hand and I pull it away. Something will come to you, Caitlin, she says. There's a solution out there with your name written on it. I look around her room for my name. I'm sorry, she says. I don't mean that your name will actually be written on anything, but you'll think of something. I give a big sigh and say, Fine, I will figure it out myself. But I have no clue how. We walk together on the playground and Mrs. Brooke talks, but I can't hear her. I'm thinking too hard about closure. When the bell rings, I stand there sucking my sleeve until I remember I have a maybe friend, and I go find Michael. He's on the jungle gym, but comes over to me when I do our wave. Hi, Caitlin. Do you know how to get to the state of experiencing an emotional conclusion to a difficult life event? What? Closure. Do you know how to get there? No, but I'll ask my dad. He's good at finding stuff. Really? My dad isn't. Is your dad extra smart or something? He shrugs. I don't know. He seems extra happy. You're lucky. My dad's sad all the time. Michael shakes his head. I don't feel lucky. I feel bad because I'm not happy all the time like he is, like I'm supposed to be. He always wants me to do something like throw a football or play frisbee or go bowling, and sometimes I just don't want to do that stuff because I'm sad. Maybe my dad and your dad should get together and become normal. Maybe. So will you ask him? Ask him what? About closure. That's a hard word. It's like closing, only it's closure. Okay, I'll ask him. Thank you, I smile. That's my manners. And it reminds me, here are your stickers. They're of the planets. Some of them glow in the dark. He looks at the stickers. Whoa, I love these. Thank you, Caitlin. You're welcome. When Dad drives me home from school, I look at our sign in front of the church we used to go to. It says, Our hearts are still with with the families of Julianne, Devin, and Roberta. Except our hearts couldn't do anything to save Devin's heart. Maybe that's why Dad drives past. I need to figure out closure.